You're listening to the Holistic Health Front podcast.
Whether you've already taken steps towards a healthier life,
or you're just starting to explore this path,
this podcast aims to help all of us live longer and more energized lives,
so we can all do the things we want and be the person we know we can be.
We bring on functional health experts, parents, professionals, and everyday people who want to make positive changes in their lives.
And we create powerful conversations about how to feel good in a fun, easy, and understandable way,
so you can live the most fulfilling life possible.
Enjoy today's discussion and let us hear your thoughts in our Powerful People Facebook group.
The information presented in this podcast is not meant to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent, or mitigate any disease.
If you have any questions about your health or the health of a loved one, please consult your healthcare practitioner.
Now let's begin.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Holistic Health Front podcast. We are super excited to be in our season 2 of the podcast and just started to record again, and we're super excited. We've all missed each other. We've had a busy summer, and so tonight's topic is a really fun topic. We're going to talk about meditation, and meditation means a lot to a lot of people. And so we're all going to kind of weigh in and do our personal experiences, talk about some of the benefits of meditation, and, maybe provide some information to you, the listeners. But what I want to do is, it's been a while since we've all been together, at least us personally, live. And so I just kind of want to do a weigh-in and say hello to all of my comrades, all my fellow podcast people. So Shannon, how's it going? We haven't been together for quite a while. So just want to say, hi, Shannon, how's it going? How was your summer?
It's going well. It was busy and hot and busy and hot.
Yeah.
Fun-filled. We had weddings and birthdays and vacations and tornadoes and hurricanes and
yeah.
On top of regular life.
Yeah, I know. So how are the hurricanes? You're down in Texas, right? So how are the hurricanes affecting you? Yeah. You guys are safe right now? How's everybody doing?
Yeah, absolutely. We are okay. I believe we're 99%. That probably 99.5. That other little half smidgen are still some trees and debris that could use to be picked up. But other than that, I believe everything is back on their regular schedule. So
awesome.
That's a blessing. Very happy
it
for
is.
that.
Very much so. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to have fun talking about meditation. So, Courtney, I know it's been a while since we've been together. How are you doing, honey?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. It's been a really nice summer. I was able to get off island for a little bit, and I went to a Dr. Joe Dispenza 7-day advanced meditation retreat, and it was transformative and educational, and I'm grateful for that to have been my quote unquote summer vacation.
Awesome.
So that's been nice, and just been kind of going with the flow, taking some more courses and just expanding my horizons.
Awesome.
And, satisfying my curiosity as quickly as I can.
Good. So I know you're down in St. John, the island of St. John. So how's everybody there? I know the hurricanes have gone through. Did it affect you guys much? Are you guys doing okay?
Well, Ernesto came through, and luckily I was actually at the meditation retreat, so I didn't have to deal with that. But everybody who was on island and St. Thomas had to deal with that while they were here. But it's been a quick recovery. Everything's growing back. The yard around me was pretty smashed up, but things grow fast in this climate. So I feel blessed that it was gentle than most.
Good. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. And then, of course, our final coach of the evening is Trevonne. Trevonne, how's it going? How was your summer? It's so glad to be back together again.
Yeah, I'm actually doing well. It's been a busy summer for me. Working on multiple projects. I work with 2 nonprofits, so helping them to apply for grants and get funding and stuff has kept me very busy.
Oh, good,
but
good.
I am well.
Good, good. And hurricane season, I know you're on an island too. Which island are you on, Trevonne?
I'm on St. Thomas.
Okay. And did you guys get hit too hard?
So
Or are you doing
the hurricane season it hasn't been too bad for me. Ernesto did come through, and there was some damage, but things are kind of back to normal now. So
good, good,
nothing
good.
too crazy.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm excited that we're all together again tonight. We are going to talk about meditation, and thanks. So my summer was absolutely crazy. I've actually started taking a 12-week intensive so that I can apply for board certification. And as other wellness coaches, you guys know that's a big push and a big commitment. So I'm super excited. I'm taking classes to sit for my national board exam. And I will do that in the spring, but we have to take classes leading up to that. So that's super exciting for me, keeping myself busy along with being a mother and, all the other things that come with those types of commitments and, keeping up with clients and everything. But super excited to be back together. I miss you guys. I just love our little podcast team and I missed you guys. So I'm super excited that we're back together again tonight. So let's talk about meditation. We are going to introduce meditation by talking about what is meditation, because it is different for every single person. What is meditation? And I know everybody uses it in different ways. I'm going to give my own personal definition of meditation. And I'm actually going to ask the other coaches to weigh in and add to it. And we're going to create this rich, very diverse definition of meditation, because it's different for different people, and there's different types of meditation as well. But for me personally, meditation is allowing yourself some sort of avenue so that you can quiet the mind in order to connect to something bigger than ourselves. For me, I like to use the word the divine source, God. Everybody's got a different definition. But for me, it's quieting my busy life in order for me to be able to open that channel between myself and something greater than me. And I know everybody defines that differently. And however you define it, it's beautiful and perfect. But my personal experience with meditation, I know when I first sat down, years ago, somebody said, you need to sit still. You move a lot and you talk really fast. And girl, you need to cool your jets. People that know me, that I'm sure they're laughing. But asking myself to sit still was a lot. And so when I first started doing meditation, I actually started doing some guided meditations where I would listen to somebody that would actually take me into a guided meditation, asking me to focus on my breath, asking me to focus on certain parts of my body, and allowing myself to just kind of, get into that parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest system. And so I've been doing meditation off and on now for about 20 years. And I will tell you that it has been, I think this was Courtney's word, transformational, when you actually stop to do it. But I also want to say that meditation can be a lot of different things. Like I know that oftentimes, when I'm going for a walk in nature, I can get in a meditative state, even though my body's moving, I allow myself to, to kind of move into a flow. So, sometimes meditation can be somebody, connecting through music or connecting, other ways. So meditation isn't just one thing. But that's kind of been my personal experience with meditation. And I'll talk a little bit about when I use it and how I use it with my clients and how I use it personally in my life. But who else wants to weigh in? Let's give another definition of meditation, because there's tons out there. Courtney, you want to weigh in?
Yeah. For me, meditation is retreating from the outside world and getting in touch with the source or the creator. And I guess I use it to relax and to reconnect with my true self, because that is where that is where there's none of the outside distractions, and I'm able to relax. This doesn't mean that my mind is clear all the time. No. I feel like a lot of people think that meditation is just, if you're doing it right, it's a clear mind. And how I look at it is if you are being distracted, that's a sign that, okay, that's going to bring you back into the present moment. If your mind is thinking, that's your opportunity to bring your own self back to the present moment. And that is the practice. And that is why meditation is a practice, because you're constantly bringing yourself back to the present moment. And so you don't have to sit there for 30 minutes or even 1 minute and have a clear mind. It's just to remind yourself. And it's that act of simply and gently and lovingly bringing yourself back.
This episode is brought to you by oxygen and carbon dioxide. Breathe deep, breathe slow. Are you tired of nagging headaches, body pains, and feeling like you've been steamrolled by 2 p.m.? Ugh. Want to feel more alive with a clearer mind, voice, and skin?
Yep.
And not to mention getting rid of that pesky BO when the deodorant starts to wear off?
Ew.
Introducing to you today, water. Did you know that 75% of American adults are chronically dehydrated? And did you know that majority of people who are dehydrated think that they actually are hydrated? That means most people are not drinking enough water. But if they did, and they realized how much of a massive difference it makes in how they feel to be hydrated, they would realize that water can change their life. So drink more water. Aim for 96 fluid ounces per day minimum for adults. Side effects include peeing more often the first couple of weeks, but don't worry, it will slow down soon. I know I should really drink less caffeine. I just wish there was some way of getting energy in the morning without a coffee. Ah, the sun! Wait a minute. I feel good. Especially when I close my eyes and stare at the sun through my eyelids. Wow, this is great. I think I'm ready to crush this day now. Thanks, sun. The sun. Use it for free, with care. We'll be getting back to the show in just a minute, but first, I want to really encourage you to join our free community on Facebook. It's called the Powerful People Community, and it's a place where you can interact with other listeners of the show, including me, our other coaches and co-hosts and everybody. And it's a place where you can ask questions publicly or anonymously. You can request episode topics, you can share your story, and celebrate with a group of really amazing people who will also be celebrating you. So we really hope to see you in the community. We think we're building something really special because we believe when you bring together a group of powerful people, there's just so many great things we can do in this world, more than we could do on our own.
Now, I am a huge fan of guided meditations. I find them to be easier for me to pay attention to and to connect. And there are a ton online. You can always find something that resonates with yourself. I am a fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I really like his meditations. And so I have been able to do quite a few of his. And I've had some profound changes, not only in my own, I've been meditating personally with myself at home, but also meditating at his retreat that I went to. That was just mind blowing. And yeah, I was able to actually retreat from life. I'm so glad that I traveled to a place that I'd never been and was able to just purely focus on that. It made it for me so much easier. Integrating back into real life was a little bit different. But by now I've been able to make a pretty good balance, and I continue. I meditate every single day, and some of the meditations are 90 minutes, and it does seem like a long time, but you can work up to it. And during the retreat, we did a 5-hour meditation, and I couldn't believe the meditation was that long when it was over. It was intense.
Wow.
But it's all about practice. I have been doing this for years and years and years. It's not something that you can just step into and be like, yes, I can do this. But you can step into it and say, yes, I can do this by doing a minute. That's all you need to start, or taking a deep breath and just taking that moment for yourself and then moving along. There's so many ways to do it.
Yeah.
That was one big run on seconds. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. And there are so many ways to do it. I know people can get into a meditative state, playing a guitar. I know that, I know other people that'll sit in front of the piano or like I said, go for a walk or be with animals. It's different for everybody, but it's that bringing yourself into that present moment and connecting to something greater than yourself, or just bring yourself into that present moment. Sometimes we're so busy worrying about the future and fretting about and regretting about the past, and just being in this moment. It's a lot. So thank you, Courtney, for your little personal share about meditation. I want to hear from Trevonne. Trevonne, talk a little bit about meditation and how you've used it in your life and in your work.
Yes.
And
Yeah, so similar to you, originally I depended on guided meditations like through apps like Headspace or Insight Timer. And more recently, as of like late last year, I came across a form of meditation called the primordial sound meditation. And so I did a training to become a certified meditation instructor in primordial sound. And so that really transformed my practice. And I've been more consistent with my meditation and not really dependent on guided meditations to do my meditation since I started that program.
Can you tell me what that is?
Primordial sound?
Yeah, what is that?
Primordial sound is it's basically a mantra-based meditation. And so a primordial sound is the sound that the universe was making at the time of your birth. So ancient sages, they were able to record or realize that the sound that universe makes at specific moon phases are different. So there are 108 different sounds. And if you think about like Om, like that's like the sound that the universe makes together, right? So it's similar to that. It's like the simplest sound that the entire universe makes.
Wow. So cool.
So the meditation that I do, I use my sound, like the specific sound that the universe was making at the place and time of my birth for my meditation. I use that mantra. I keep repeating it over and over again until I slip into that space between the thoughts.
Wow. Very cool. I'm not familiar with that. So I'm excited to learn more about that. Very cool. Awesome. And how has it affected your life? How has meditation?
As far as like my definition of meditation or my understanding of it is, meditation really is a journey from the outer world of noise and activity to the inner world of silence. And so it's a kind of a turning your awareness inwards. And not only that, it's also a spiritual journey, because in your meditation, you are really connecting to who you are at your core. And I know Courtney mentioned that, like, you're connecting to your true self. And so for me, it has really helped me to reduce the amount of stress that I have in my life, and stress comes from looking outward, right? From outward things, from all the activity and roles and all that other outward stuff that we have going on in our lives. We really tend to focus on that and not focus on, us, and looking inward and recognizing that we are not those roles. We are not our thoughts. We are not this body. We are something much bigger than that. And so meditation has helped me to connect to myself in that way and not really get drawn away in all the drama that happens in life outside of me.
Yeah.
So that's my experience.
Oh man, that's awesome. I'm just so excited. And I'm going to ask Coach Shannon, have you ever had any experience? Thank you, Trevonne, for sharing. Coach Shannon, have you ever had any experience with meditation, or are you new to the subject? What's been your experience?
No, I'm not new. I think meditation is fantastic. And I have used it to connect with, like everybody else, my inner self, activate my soul. Instead of being a human being or a human doing all the time, slow down to be a human being. Because as with many, stress and inflammation has been very much a part of my journey. So having to ground myself spiritually so that my emotions will better align with who I am instead of reacting, it has really, really been handy. Now, meditation, I mean, it's not a new word to me now, but I definitely didn't hear it when I was growing up. And I was raised more with the vocabulary of praying, focusing on God, and things of that sort. But as I've learned, it's really all the same thing. And we have neuroscientists, on all spectrums from all organizations coming together and confirming what we're all doing is super helpful and very needed in the transition of human doing to human being, right? So I love that. I love, what Joe Dispenza is doing. I love what Carolyn Leaf is doing. And there's so many other doctors out there who are, calling out the beauty of meditation and calming down our nervous system and helping us align as a better person.
Yeah. Awesome. You just teed us up for what we were going to talk about, like some of the benefits of meditation. I love that it's not just hearsay. It's not just a personal experience. We now have scientists and doctors that are documenting the benefits of meditation. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And the first one, of course, is we've all talked about stress reduction, right? I mean, that's why every one of us said that. I said it, you said it, Trevonne and Courtney said it. But stress reduction is huge. It's not minimal, because when you're able to reduce your stress, you actually change the biology of your body, the physiology of your body. When you move from a sympathetic nervous system state to a parasympathetic nervous system state. And so, stress reduction is huge for that. I'm just going to read a couple of the things, and then I want to kind of weigh in on some personal experiences that each one of us have. But I'm going to do a little laundry list pretty quick of what are the things that meditation is great for. So stress reduction. Meditation actually lowers your cortisol levels. Cortisol is the stress hormone. For those of you that don't know, most of us know that cortisol, is our stress hormone. But for those that don't know that, meditation can help lower cortisol, your stress hormone. It can actually help improve your focus and your concentration. I personally have experienced this one. I know that both Courtney and Shannon mentioned this, that it helps with emotional regulation. Meditation helps individuals respond to emotions more calmly, reducing emotional reactivity. That's a fantastic benefit. And it can also help decrease anxiety and depression. It can help alleviate and provide some symptomatic relief in those areas of anxiety and depression. Meditation, especially mindfulness-based stress reduction meditation, is proven to reduce the symptoms of anxiety and depression. And here's some of our physical health benefits of meditation. Lower your blood pressure. This one's huge. I've actually seen this one. I'm a breath coach, and lots of science about breathing and getting your body into a meditative state to help lower your blood pressure. And meditation is a great way to do that. It helps improve your sleep quality. We could all use a lot of better sleep quality. Now, this one is the one I like the most. Reduced inflammation. This one is fun. And I want Courtney to talk about this one a little bit because I'm sure she has a little bit more from attending Dr. Joe Dispenza's retreats, but reducing inflammation in our body. I know a lot of us wake up achy and tired. We have sore joints, sore bodies, and the fact that meditation can actually have an impact on the inflammatory response in your body is pretty impressive. So reducing inflammation is fantastic. Pain management. It's been scientifically proven that meditation can actually help us with our pain. Meditation changes the way
to jump in on that one, Steph.
Please do. Yeah.
On pain management. So what's very helpful is the neurotransmitters, the pathways in our brain. When we slow down and focus on something besides the pain, but we're focusing on something positive, whatever the meditation is leading us to focus on, if you do that regularly, let me define regularly for the sake of this conversation, for the sake of this description. 21 days, and you start to change the pathways. You start to change the habits, the thought habits, right? Another 21 days, so now we're at 42, and things are starting to solidify. By 63 days, we have a new pattern. We have a new habit in our brain, and I'm using because I'm going, through the brain here. And with that said, how it has helped me is instead of focusing on, oh, woe is me, why am I going through this? Why do I have so much pain? Why this, that, and the other? I've been able to change my focus and not be in as much pain. Another thing, when you mention physically, is the physical pain is your body crying out. When you slow down from meditative practices and you allow that part of your body to speak, what does it need? Instead of being upset that something hurts and taking a pill for it, but the practice of meditation, slowing down and listening, you give your body what it needs, and guess what? The pain goes away.
Yeah, which is connected to inflammation as well, right? Because inflammation causes pain. So the two are connected. And I love that we now have done the research to show this in a lab. Lab results show reduced inflammation markers, reduced pain, blood pressure. So it's super exciting to me, the new science behind
meditation. It's not hocus pocus anymore.
Right.
It's
exactly.
For real. Yay.
Exactly. Yeah. We've taken this kind of woo-woo effect, and now everybody's like, no, actually, this is science. This is actual science that meditation does these things. It changes the biochemistry of the body. Yeah. Courtney, let's hear it.
And that is that is the reason I like Dr. Joe Dispenza's methods and his ideas and his retreats, because there is the woo-woo piece of the meditation, but then there's all the science that goes with it. And he is really coming out with some incredible studies and some incredible evidence about how meditation actually changes your body and how it can help you with so many health benefits. And it can help upregulate and downregulate epigenetics. I think gone are the days where, well, I'm going to have this disease because my mom had it and my grandpa had it. I think with meditating, we can change those pieces of our body. It's just like even with environment, take meditation away. When you're in a different environment, epigenetics also kick in. Whether it's a good environment or a bad environment, epigenetics upregulates and downregulates depending on where you are. it's a fascinating new study, and I don't have all the information, but I'm definitely curious about it. So basically, I love the science that is really starting to back up the benefits of meditation. It gets both sides of me, and it keeps me hooked in.
Absolutely. And epigenetics, for those of us that don't, oh, sorry, I just cut out there. For those of us that don't know what epigenetics is, it's understanding how our genes, we have certain genes that can be influenced by our environment, our lifestyle, our food, and epigenetics is the study of how those genes are affected. And meditation has a profound effect on those genes, how we can upregulate the genes that we want to have a positive effect on and downregulate the genes that we don't want to show. Hey,
Stephanie, welcome back.
Hi. I just disappeared. Hi. I don't even know what part I disappeared on. Sorry about that, guys.
Just beginning to talk about epigenetics.
Yeah, it's so funny. We have had lots of internet stuff going on, and I know a lot of people have been affected by the current hurricanes, and it's affecting everybody. But epigenetics, it's the study of our genes and how they are affected by our environments and our lifestyle. And it's pretty profound what they're learning about how meditation affects those. For a lot of people don't realize this, we think we're born with our genes. And I like that Courtney said this. Gone are the days where if my mom or my grandparents had a particular issue, whether it had to do with your heart or certain cancers or just, certain disease states, disorders that we have, our genes can be transformed and can be affected by our environment. And meditation does a great job of doing that. You can actually turn up a positive gene, a gene for wellness, and you can turn down a gene. For example, the obesity gene. I love to talk about this. So we have obesity in my family. And just because I carry the obesity gene in my body, it doesn't mean that I am going to struggle with those particular disease states. I can downregulate that obesity gene in order, we kind of ask it to go to rest, and I can upregulate other genes that are more pro-health. And so meditation does a great job affecting our literal biology, the literal genes to the DNA level. And that's what I love about the work that Joe Dispenza has done and some other people have done to show the science behind it. Trevonne, I wanted you to weigh in. Have you had any physical changes, any experiences personally or with clients or friends and family with meditation?
Definitely personally, I feel like I've spent a lot of time feeling stressed. And so really once I started to do my meditation practice more regularly, I started to get more clarity. I started to feel more like connected to my body. My health issue is irregular periods. And so it's something that I'm still working through. I have seen some improvement, but it's not perfect, of course. And I know that will come with time. So far that's my experience, with meditation and stress.
Awesome. Yeah, very cool. So anybody else want to weigh in on the physical benefits of meditation? There's no limit to it. What I like about it.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about stress. I think it's good because I feel like meditation is like the antidote. Like it does the exact opposite of what stress does to the body. So if we think about like, what do we feel in our body when we are stressed? Like, what are those things that you all feel? What happens when we're in that fight or flight response, right? What happens in your body?
Yeah. Are you asking?
Yeah, I'm asking. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh. For me personally, I get very agitated. I notice that my vision actually changes. I have difficulty focusing on things. My shoulders get all tight, and I feel anxious. Sometimes I can get cloudy headed. And the other thing I do is I find myself huffing, like I'm taking deep breaths, like I'll actually catch myself huffing, not at anybody in particular. I could be totally alone, but it changes the cadence of my breath even. So those are just some things that, just as I'm busy through my day, I was doing it tonight in the grocery store. I found myself huffing and I was like, okay, Steph, take a deep breath. It's okay. You are in a blessed place that you can afford groceries and walk through the store. Everything's okay. But we tend to, it's a rough place. So that's some of the places for me. I know, Shannon, I know it affects your menstrual cycles. I know you've talked about that.
Yes. Yes, they become like severely painful, bedridden, nauseous, vomiting. Yeah. When I'm not on my menstrual cycle, though, I will get, you mentioned the tight shoulders. I also get very judgmental. This morning in traffic, I decided that everybody just got their driver's license yesterday. Like, y'all need to get out of my way. It's the button on the right. Yeah. Press it. Harder.
Oh, that's yeah.
Yeah. I get a bit more mouthy depending on my company.
Yeah. It affects our moods for sure.
It really does.
What about you, Courtney?
For sure.
Well, funny you should ask. I was in a very stressful situation yesterday. So I'm taking an online course about medical intuition, and I rely on a stable Wi-Fi connection. And for the most part, internet's pretty good where I am. But yesterday, the internet was just dropping me off and on, off and on, off and on. And I missed probably a third of the class because of it. And it happened all day. And I felt the frustration welling up and I just wanted to cry. And then I kept thinking like, okay, am I going to act about this or am I going to react about this? And so I would just kind of sit in silence. And I was like, okay, 90 seconds has passed. If I still want to cry, is that acting or is it reacting? And I'm having this whole dialogue with myself, just trying to stay calm and at the same time realize everything happens for a reason, and this is 100% out of your control. But I was so stressed about what I could be missing, and what if I miss this crucial nugget that's the key to everything? And I just had to calm myself down and realize there's nothing I can do. But I felt the stress all day long about it because it was happening all day long about it. Today, I'm like, oh, no big deal. It's over. I'm not dealing with that. Although I was worried about logging in today and being able to record this podcast, but internet seems to be stable, knock on wood. So yeah, stress affects me more than I would like to admit. And it's always a practice of regulating and reminding myself about what I'm in control of and what I'm not. And then the ability to really relinquish that control. That's the piece for me.
Yeah. And meditation is fantastic for helping us, with our stress response. Trevonne.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to point out some of the things that you all listed as far as what happens in the body when we go into that fight or flight response. And we know that this is a survival instinct and it's meant for us to help us to survive. So if we have some type of threat, right? It's for us to survive that threat. So nothing else really matters except us escaping or fighting for our life, right? And so the things that happen in our body physiologically are our heart rate increase, right? We mentioned that our hearts might pound more in our chest. Our blood pressure goes up. Our respiration increases. We start to breathe heavier and faster, like you mentioned, Stephanie. We start to perspire, right? The stress hormones in our body increase. We talked about that. Our anti-aging hormones also go down, right? And there's some platelet stickiness that increases, right? And that causes cholesterol and those type of blockages in the arteries. And if we are constantly in this state, all of this stuff that I just listed leads to heart disease, anxiety, insomnia, addictions, diabetes, obesity, digestive disorders, premature aging, infections, cancer, heart attack, strokes. And so, it's really cool that meditation kind of does the opposite of all those things that we literally just said. So when we meditate, our heart rate stabilizes, right?
Right.
Our respiration starts to decrease. Our blood pressure starts to stabilize. Just the complete opposite of everything that we just said. Our stress hormones go down. So it's cool to think of it in that way. So that's why I threw that question out there, just so people make that connection and see what's really happening in the body when we're in that stress response and what's happening in the body when we're in our meditative state.
Yeah. And what I love about you bringing that up is that meditation can address all of those. I mean, it kind of sounds like a panacea, but what I love about it is that, number one, meditation is free. Number two, it doesn't have any negative side effects. Number three, it's accessible to everybody on the planet. And number four, it can affect so many areas of your life, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. And it's not just about those physical states, but those mental states, emotional states. I loved that you listed all of those things that it can affect, because we say the word stress reduction, but what you did is you gave it some depth and some clarity on how it can relate to people's lives. So that was perfect. I love that. And it does affect our emotional state. It affects our relationships. I love how Shannon said that she was sure on the highway today that everybody had just gotten their driver license yesterday. So I'm the same thing. I've discovered when I'm stressed, I just think everybody's stupid. Everybody drops their IQ plummets for some reason. And, these same people in my life were brilliant, at other times in my life, and I relied on them and they supported me in beautiful ways. But yeah, we tend to just become emotionally and mentally, it affects the way we connect to others. So it's so much more than, just what's going on in our physical and mental being. It affects our community and our social wellness as well. So it's an absolute wonderful thing. I love meditation. I love it. Does anybody want to kind of weigh in? Because I loved what Trevonne said about, I think she said, I'm going to have to ask her to pronounce it again. Primordial sound meditation. Is that correct?
Yeah, primordial.
Okay.
Yeah, primordial sound. Yep.
Awesome. I haven't heard of that, so that's super cool. One of the things that I have been doing is, everything's available on the internet and you can do some guided meditations. But I've just recently come across just some different frequencies that are known to affect, your mood. There's a certain frequency for sleep and a certain sound frequency for, focus. And there's a certain sound frequency for different things. And I have been going to YouTube and listening to those at certain times doing meditation. And I have found that that's been very helpful for me, to kind of listen to a particular vibration and then kind of get, into a really unique state. But I want to talk to those people out there that have no clue what we're talking about. I don't even know where to start. Like, it kind of sounds, woo-woo and hokey to me. I want everybody to weigh in and give some advice on your own personal experience on how you started meditating. What was kind of your gateway into meditation? And because all of us have been doing this for a while, but we've got listeners out there that are like, listen, I'm never going to sit still. You're never going to make my mind stop chattering. How the hell is it going to benefit me if I can't shut my thoughts off? So I wonder if we could all just weigh in and talk a little bit about, some ways that we learned to meditate and just kind of help our listeners out on some ideas that might be beneficial for them. Anybody want to go first? Okay. Let's hear it, Trevonne. Oh, no, it's Courtney. Go for it, Courtney.
I am trying to remember the first time I started meditating. I don't think I remember like the exact day, but it was probably decades ago when I was going to different spiritual centers in San Francisco where I lived at the time. And before the service, there would be a group meditation, 10 minutes long or something. Can't even remember if it was silent or guided, but I think that was my first introduction. And then I went to sound bath meditations, walking meditations. I even went to a one-day silent meditation retreat. So I've always had a curiosity about it, but it wasn't until when my body was diagnosed with breast cancer that I really was like, okay, this has hit the fan and I got to get serious about my body. I need to get serious about my health and I want to change it. And I know that something that I can do right now is begin to meditate. So I began meditating that way. And it was hard to meditate because I was worried about like, what's going to happen? What's the path here? And I just kind of followed along and my life has twisted and turned into many different ways, not because of meditation or maybe because of meditation. I don't know. But that, I would say, the breast cancer diagnosis is when I started in earnest, which was December 2021. And I'm all good now, everybody. Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, yay is right. And then I had the opportunity for the Dispenza 7-day advanced meditation retreat, and that has brought it to a new level for me, and my practice in that way has deepened and into ways that it's hard to explain. But I'm going to roll with it. It's all good. It feels good.
Yeah. What was it like to meditate? So I will tell you, I'm a little self-conscious about meditation. I kind of think I have to close the door and be all alone so that I can focus just on my, on my breath and stuff like that. What was it like to meditate in a large group like that at a retreat? I'm really curious because I find it intimidating just to talk about it. So what's your personal experience about that?
To me, I was really excited to be in a group because the energy of the group, all there for the same reason, doing the same thing at the same time, was amazing. And there were almost 2,000 people at that event. And it was pretty phenomenal. There there were speakers everywhere, so you could hear everything, and the music and the guided meditation. It was loud enough that it kind of took you to another place, but not so loud that your ears were hurting or anything, or not so loud that you didn't hear somebody coughing, the basic human things that happen in life. But the collective energy and the enthusiasm of the people putting on the retreat was very beneficial, very helpful for me to get into that. And from talking to people at the retreat, I get the same idea. And that was one of the main reasons I really wanted to go, was to be in that group setting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think that I would probably feel that same way, but it's at home. It's kind of like, okay, I have to close out the world, right? And just be by myself. And so I thought I'm intrigued by the idea of group meditation and that collective conscious, right? We all are tuned into the same channel of, connecting, to ourselves, that higher consciousness, that greater part of us, that source. And so I was just curious what that was like. Cause I know I'm always like, I'm closing the door, I'm putting my earplugs in, I'm going to close the world out. So to be in a room of 2,000 people, I was curious. So it's exciting to hear.
Many of us wore eye covers.
Oh,
so
okay.
we could have that level of, sensory deprivation there. Now, when I'm at home, I wear the eye covers and I actually listen to the meditations on earphones. So I'm not distracted as much by what's going on outside of what's going on in my ear. I'm pointing to my brain, pineal gland.
Yeah. When I first started meditating, the idea of sitting still was crazy to me because, we're all just so busy. But one of the things that I did, and I don't know if this is going to resonate with anybody else, but I somebody told me to put on a 3-minute timer. And they said, just sit quietly for 3 minutes, trying to listen to your breath, clear your mind, and see if you can get to 3 minutes. And if you can get to 3 minutes, like at first you're going to oh my God, this is the longest 3 minutes of my life. And this is the stupidest activity I've ever done. Sitting still for 3 minutes. Are you kidding me? Do you know how much shit I can get done in 3 minutes? But they said, you'll know when you're ready to go to a little bit longer because you'll get to the end of the 3 minutes. The alarm will go off and you'll be disappointed. You're like, oh, darn, I was just starting to feel something, and then move it up to 5 minutes. And that was the way I actually learned how to meditate. Was I started really, really slow, sitting still for 3 minutes. And then when the alarm would go off, if I was disappointed, when the alarm went off, then the next day I would do 4 minutes. And then if that was disappointing, then the next day I would do 5 minutes. And before you know it, I was able to sit for 15, 20 minutes and just, get into this meditative state. But it wasn't something I just instantly did. Asking me to sit still for 20 minutes without any training, it's a practice, right? I know Courtney said that it's a practice that we get into. And I know Shannon was talking about how we're rewiring our brain, literally rewiring our brain and creating new neurotransmitters and stuff like that. So what I want everybody to know is it's something that you can move into slowly and gracefully. It's not something that you have to jump right into and be disappointed about. If you can sit still for 90 seconds, wow, consider that just a blessed place to be and celebrate that. And then go on from there. If you're curious and you want to move into guided meditations, there's so many wonderful ones that are out there on the internet that you can look up. Does anybody else have any other resources for people? I love the Joe Dispenza books. I've actually used some Abraham Hicks guided meditations. Those have been amazing. Courtney, what's the name of Joe Dispenza's books? What have you got there, hun, for our readers?
So his most recent one is Becoming Supernatural. And I know that you can get this on Audible too. So for those of you who would prefer to listen to a book, there's that. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. and you are the placebo. Now, I technically have not read Becoming Supernatural because I've listened to the audiobook, but I did end up getting the book because of all of the scientific research information that is located in this book. It was hard to comprehend it while the speaker who was narrating the book was talking about it, and I wanted to get eyes on it so I could understand it better.
Yeah. I have his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And I love the graphs because they show you the before and after of some of the brain scans, pre-meditation and post-meditation. They show some of the charts of the biochemistry in the body, pre-meditation, post-meditation, and the science behind it was very exciting for me. So I liked that as well. Does anybody else have any other resources? I know, Trevonne, I want you to talk a little bit about yours on ways that you might be able to get into meditation.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think we lost it. Yeah. Is Trevonne still there?
Well, I could talk about how I started. I used an app called Headspace, and that was like the first time that I got into meditation. And what I liked, I don't know how Headspace is nowadays because I haven't used that in probably like 10 years. But the way that they described, how to practice meditation, right? They made this analogy of like thinking of seeing your thoughts as clouds, like just floating by. And instead of getting caught away into those thoughts, like getting caught up in the thoughts, kind of just let them float by like clouds and just kind of watch them, right? And I like that because it kind of separates you from your thoughts. I feel like a lot of times we get so caught up in our thoughts that we feel like everything that we think is true, right? And that kind of runs our lives. And we kind of are like on autopilot all the time. And so that just like little analogies like that kind of help you to disconnect from your thoughts and really recognize yourself as the observer of your thoughts and not being actually your thoughts. So Headspace was a app that helped me out in the beginning. And then I moved over to Insight Timer. Insight Timer has so many different type of meditations on there. And like, you could just like search for like, okay, let's say you want to sleep better. So you could just like type in a search, like meditations for sleep. Like you could type in whatever meditations for stress at work. Like there's like different, whatever you're dealing with in that moment, you can just type it in, find a meditation, click on it, and then, go from there. And I think I usually did it like at the end of my day, like right before bedtime, and kind of like went to sleep with it. But since I did my training in primordial sound, I learned that it's best not to do it closer to bedtime. It's better to do it like right after your work day ends for the people that work. Like before you start to wind down and get dinner and that type of stuff. And also to do it like first thing in the morning. So there's this saying that this acronym, RPM, rise, pee, meditate. So like right when you get up, you go pee and then meditate. So it's good to always kind of clump your meditation in with something that you're doing already in the morning. So like if you do like right before you brush your teeth or right after right when after you pee, you go and meditate and then go brush your teeth, like kind of bringing it into your regular routine so that you do it, right? Because otherwise you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there are many, many different ways to meditate. Like even if just being present in the morning while you're eating and like, noticing the flavors and the taste and the textures in your mouth, or if you drink tea in the morning, like, just really connecting to that heat in your arms and the heat in your mouth as you drink your tea. Like those are some like simple ways, like just being in the moment. Like the breath, I think too, is a really, really, really powerful thing, because it's a tool that we have, that is free and you always have access to, like literally at every single moment. So just bringing your awareness to your breath, that is meditation. Like, and not without trying to like change your breath, without trying to make it be any specific way, without judging it, like just watching it, just observing it, and just noticing your breath. Like, that is the simplest way to meditate. I say that is a place to start. Yeah. It's
that's
not
a great place
complicated
to
at
start.
all.
It doesn't need to be. And
Right.
I do the morning. I kind of do the RPM. I rise, pee, meditate. I heard that years ago too. And when I get super busy and I don't, I'm actually surprised. My day and my cadence is different on the days that I do meditate as opposed to the days that I don't.
Absolutely.
So
you
a
will
daily
definitely
practice.
notice that.
Yeah, a daily practice makes a difference for sure. And the other thing that I did is I gave myself some grace. Like before, I was setting aside 20 minutes to meditate. And now I've discovered if all I have is 5 minutes, then I'll sit quietly with 5 minutes and do some breathing and focus. And that can be just as profound as the 20 minutes. So, give yourself some grace. I know we tend to get ourselves pretty strict when we're trying to do something. And I allowed myself to just say, hey, I've got 5 minutes and it's better than nothing. And that allowed me to really get into a pattern of doing it daily. Some days it's 6 minutes, some days it's 26 minutes, but it gave me permission to say a little is better than nothing at all. And, maybe I needed that 20 more minutes of sleep, because I didn't sleep well, or I was up with a kid or whatever. And giving myself grace in the morning to just sit quietly for 2 or 3 minutes has been very beneficial for me to keep the pattern going, without the strict adherence to a specific time or routine. What about you, Courtney, Shannon?
Well, to put it in a nutshell and be cliche, sex, drugs, and rock and roll were not getting me anywhere when I was younger. And so I sought out something else, and I found it to be incredibly enlightening, incredibly helpful, incredibly healing. And as I mentioned earlier, meditation, that word specifically wasn't introduced to my life until late 20s, early 30s, give or take. So prior to that, I was more commonly recognized as prayer. But taking the time to slow down, and even while, Trevonne just mentioned eating, just being thankful that, I have food and I have time to make it. I had time to, go to a restaurant, thankful for the people who made it for me, and just slowing down, little things like that. I have yet to experience a 5-hour meditation, although I'm quite intrigued. That sounds awesome. And I think that leads me to, living our lives in such a state after practicing meditation for so long. I think we can kind of slip in and out of it in the course of our day. While we're sitting in traffic, remind ourselves that, hey, at least I'm not driving 80 miles an hour down the expressway, right? Like right now I'm sitting still and I can just breathe deeply. Also, one thing that I really liked about meditating that I learned some years ago early on when I heard meditation was you don't have to stop thinking. As a matter of fact, don't stop thinking, because then you're dead.
Yeah.
But instead, you've turned your focus a different direction and you're still thinking, and that's okay.
Yeah, like Trevonne said,
Yeah.
the clouds, right? You can just picture them as clouds floating by.
Yeah. I have boxes. Clouds didn't work for me. I tried clouds. I have boxes, and the boxes have lids. And I'm like, no, not yet. And I put it in a box, And I put the lid on the box and I set it to the side and I'm like, I'll get to you. I promise I'll be back. Just not right now. I'm going to need a minute. Right? And that's how it works for me. And that's another beauty is, we all have different things that work for us. Maybe it's clouds, maybe it's boxes, maybe it's a water balloon. You put all your stuff in a water balloon. And then when you're done meditating, you can get up and throw it and see what pops out. The sky's the limit. You can be creative with it. As we mentioned earlier, it's a part of getting more in tune with yourself. So do what's best for you and setting those thoughts aside. Maybe you need to write them down so you don't have to focus on them anymore. You just jot down your stuff and then you put it off to the side. Another thing that I find very intriguing about group meditations, Dr. Leaf, I heard her say this in one of her speeches, was when everybody would get together and meditate, focus on something specifically positive, she said that everybody's hearts start to beat the same rhythm.
Cool.
Now, she didn't say where or how this was studied or measured. And, the little geeky side of me wants to know all the details. However, without having those details, I still find it quite fascinating that our energetic beings come together and it is expressed physically with all of our hearts beating at the same rhythm. I think that's just the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And I would be delighted to be a part of it. Courtney, did you feel that kind of thing energetically when you were at your retreat?
Yeah, the coherence, absolutely. Was that what you're talking about? You kind of broke up at the end on my end.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you feel at the retreat as if everybody's heart could be beating at the same time?
Oh, yeah.
Did you have that kind of energy?
Brain, heart was all working together. In fact, we did do some heart-brain coherence meditations, and for sure, we were all vibing the same way. Most definitely.
Wow.
That's so fascinating.
I want to go. I want to go to a big, huge, I do Joe Dispenza's 7-day advanced meditation retreat or, anything else. It's just to be together like that and create that type of collective energy, connection and collective energy, all focusing on one thing. It sounds amazing. I'm so excited. I'm so excited that we're talking about meditation. I love that everybody's had a different experience with it. I know we're getting close to an hour and we're going to have to wrap up, but if there's anything else that anybody else wants to weigh in, please do. We'll try to leave some links in the bio about where people can reach. But give it a try and try it more than once. With exercise, if you exercise 1 day a month, in 1 year you will have exercised 12 days. And if somebody else exercises, 5 days a week, at the end of a year, you've exercised all year long and your body looks different and you feel different. And I think meditation is the same way. It has a cumulative effect on the way that it affects the body, the mind, and the soul. And so remember that it's not going to, if it doesn't come easy, that's okay. Bless that, accept that, get curious about it, and then keep going and find something that works for you because everybody's got a different thing. I love the boxes, by the way. I'm going to put you in my relationship box and I'm going to close the lid right now. I'm going to put you in my work box and close the lid right now. I'm going to put you. Yeah, I love that. But I just encourage everybody to give it a try. It really profoundly affects our physical beings, our mental beings, our emotional beings, our social, well-being. It's just such an amazing tool. And I'm so tickled that it's becoming more mainstream and less woo-woo. I'm so glad that we now have the science to back up, the profound benefits of meditation. And so does anybody else want to weigh in before we wrap up? Anybody else?
Yeah.
Anybody last minute?
Yeah. I just want to say that meditation can be finding awe in nature, even, and just sitting and appreciating what you see. Like, I snorkel a lot. It's one of my most favorite things to do in the world. And when I'm in that water, I am so present. I am so right there with everything that I'm seeing and all the creatures that are around me. And it's, and that's not guided. That isn't, I don't go in the water to meditate. I go in the water to have a good time and to joy and to explore. Yet it turns out to be very meditative for me. And when I get out, I'm always like, yeah, that was amazing. It's
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be sitting down on a pillow, listening to some music or not listening to some music. It can be a walk in nature. It can be, maybe zoning out on a picture of nature that you really like, or a piece of art, just being present with what is right there. So there's many ways. It's super accessible to us, and I'm grateful for that. And it's not really about like escaping from wherever you are. It's just becoming there, more present in where you are.
Yeah.
Because that's all we got, people. We've only got the present. The past is gone and the future doesn't exist. We are right here, just like I'm right here with you, beautiful people.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that I want to point out in this hustle culture where everybody's hustling for their worth and we're all judged on our productivity and what we can do, I want people to know that doing meditation and taking time for you and yourself is one of the most productive things you will ever do. It's extraordinarily productive. And the profound benefits that it has, not just on your personal health and well-being and life, but we're connected, and what you do will affect others in a huge way. We tend to think it's just about us and we're in this little world and that's our ego talking, but we are all connected to something bigger and something greater. And meditation allows us to tap into that and allows us to feel that. And so I just want everybody to know it's super productive. We might not be checking the boxes on a to-do list, but what we are doing energetically, vibrationally is beyond measure. And so keep that in mind. I know a lot of people are like, but I have this to do and I have that to do. Wow. When I start my day with meditation, I actually become more productive. Time seems to slow down for me. I almost feel like I become the manager of time. Like I get to choose how long an hour feels. When I do meditation every day, and connect to that source, that divine flow, that higher aspect of myself, I'll look up and I will have done all of these tasks on my to-do list and it's only 10:30 a.m. And I'm like, wow, you kind of get into this flow that supports you. And so if productivity is something that you're interested in, wow, meditation is where it's at, because it really does help you become the best version of yourself. And it allows you to expand time to work with you and not against you. So that's just been my own personal experience. So thank you, everybody. Anybody else have any last minute thoughts before we wrap up? Everybody good? Well, I want to thank our audience for letting us have a discussion about meditation. I want to thank Shannon and Trevonne and Courtney for joining us tonight. So glad to see you ladies again. I've missed you all. It's so fun to start our season 2 of our Holistic Health podcast. And so thank you. Until next time, take care and try to do a little bit of meditation. Enjoy, everybody. Have a good night. Good night.